I'm going to talk about something that I'm interested in and I feel somewhat comforted by, but I'm not an expert. There is a lot of talk right now, a lot of things written about something called the shift. And the idea is that that planet Earth has been in a 3D consciousness for thousands of years, and it's getting ready to switch to a 5D consciousness that is much more connected to the earth, connected to nature, much more empathetic, much more spiritual, more creative, more communitarian, and more human in a way, more humane. And the reason we are interested in that idea is because of the chaos and criminality and cruelty that's going on in the world right now that is shocking. It is so extreme, we couldn't have imagined it. And yet, there seem to be large multinational organizations that have organized cruelty to children in order to blackmail people with money and power, whether they're in government or business or um, wherever they are. And um, when we look at that and we ask ourselves, has this been going on under the surface all our lives and we haven't suspected it? And people that we may have admired, like Deepak Chopra, not one of my idols, but some people have really admired him. And others with big names and so called spiritual followings. Um, and the mask is being ripped off of all of these highly admired people who make a lot of money by teaching spirituality, and they may have 20 or 50 books out there, and they're famous, and people feel that they're an avatar of some kind of virtue, and and then you realize they're not that at all. Um, and the veneer that has been over not only our culture, our particular culture, but the whole human race. We're looking at it and saying what we believed wasn't true. It never was true. There is definitely a dark side to any human being, but organized rape, organized killing children, um, just so some country can get compromising information on powerful people and make them do things that they want done. Um, it's beyond shocking. And we have to ask ourselves, have we been naive? Are we just um, childish human beings who've had the wool pulled over our eyes and never suspected it. And suddenly, it's not that the world is getting worse, it's getting revealed. And what we see is something we never wanted to see. We didn't want to know about it. We don't want to ask the question, is this who we are as human beings? Um, is there any such thing as good people and bad people? Or does every human being have something dire and dastardly and dark in their unconscious being, and only um, a certain strain of people, a certain tribe of people, are willing to act it out? And as a matter of fact, there are organized um, groups of people who actually um, figure out a way to ensnare people and capture whatever power they have. And, uh, you know, it's hard to talk about this, but I do think that the idea that um, we can finally see ourselves for who we really are and actually face what the Jungians call the shadow and integrate it somehow and um, keep it at least under control, under some kind of control, because the people who refuse to face it, who refuse to actually even know about it, are captured by it. They actually are the ones who are overwhelmed by it. If you know that at some deep level you have criminal impulses, but you are not captured by it, you're not going to allow it any expression. You're just going to watch it. And you're going to go on about your life with something that might actually contribute to the well being of other people because it has empathy in it, because it has the ability to actually feel other people's problems and pains. If you are incapable of empathy, then everything is a tool. Everything is something to be used, including living beings, including children. I mean, if a shift is going to happen in world consciousness, what is going to happen is the human being is going to have to recognize both its lightness and its darkness, and it is going to have to come to terms with its nature, the whole nature, the good, the bad, and the indifferent. Um, People who grow up in the ethos of Western civilization, who live for profit, live for money, um, do tend to get seduced sometimes by the idea of utility. And yes, you can figure out how to use other people's cupidity, other people's um, banality. You can you can see it. And if your approach to that is not to help that person become more human, but actually use their darkness against them, I guess we're living in a paradigm of eyes wide shut. And it is it's hard to look in the mirror, isn't it? I mean, it actually gives you this feeling that maybe human beings should just disappear off the face of the earth. Um, we're not the people we thought we were. I don't actually believe that. I think that well, it's obvious that religion hasn't really changed people fundamentally. It hasn't really healed their venality and their criminality and their self centeredness and their greed and so on. Um, Something else has to appear on the scene where we can actually see who we are um, completely and not gloss over the bad stuff, not actually lie to ourselves, but somehow heal these parts of ourselves that are so dangerous um, and actually evil. If we cover it over and if we deny it exists, it grows. And as it grows, the world gets worse. It's not surprising to me that everything is collapsing. And frankly, not a moment too soon. If this is what's been going on, what human beings actually have to have is self insight. They have to understand themselves and stop just living on the surface, stop putting on a mask and thinking you've solved the problem of your complexity and your evil. Um, I think we are um, inextricably tied to the soul of the world and therefore to the cosmos. And it is an incredibly beautiful creation. There's no doubt about it. But there is a dark side to it. And humans have not figured out how to face that and transmute it. And maybe the shift from from a lower consciousness to a higher state of consciousness is going to bring us to the point where we can actually be good humans. That's kind of the gist of it for me. So I am interested in the idea of a shift, a global shift in consciousness, and I hope it actually comes to pass. Now, probably not in my lifetime, but I do hope that it will get there. So that's my little talk.